Toro.
Braxton Toro.
What's going on, man?
How are you, Isaac?
I'm wonderful. I'm glad you reached out.
I know. I'm glad I did too. I like
It,
this setup we have.
Thank you. It took a lot of time.
You-
But it's been really cool because this used to just be a storage room, so it was just packed full with random crap. And the people here were generous enough to be like, "Well, you want a room?"
Yeah,
I was
we're
like,
gonna use it here.
"Why not?" Yeah. But yeah, the setup it's progressed a lot. It's been pretty cool.
It looks great.
When you reached out, I thought it was just like some random dude like across the country or something. And I was gonna have to be like, oh man, like I don't really like doing Zoom
Yeah.
interviews or whatever. And you said your name, I was like,
Wait, I know
what?
that guy.
Yeah. That was really cool. I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah, I'm glad I did too. I'm excited.
Me too. So this is Finish the Race podcast. We're gonna get deep, but first we're gonna do a cookie jar.
Let's do it. It's the cookie jar.
That's the cookie jar.
There ain't no cookies in here.
Yes, there are. You might pick one out.
Let's see. This one feels good. It's kind of heavy though.
It
Might be a
is.
deep question.
It might be.
Are you in a relationship right now? I am in a relationship
Since 2010.
since 2010, eighth grade to be exact.
Same girl.
Same girl, Maggie Ann.
That's
Yep,
crazy.
beautiful Southern Belle. Yep, we now have 4 kids. We have Noah Ann, she's 8. Thomas, he's 5. Levi Kate, she's about to be 4, May 1st. And then Mary Michael, she will be 3 in
Good.
August.
Man, I'm not in relationships. So we'll see
We'll see.
eventually.
There's
Yeah.
plenty of fish in the sea.
Did you ever expect to have 4 kids?
I did not. Which we did have our first kid when we were pregnant when with our first kid when my wife was walking the stage in high school, the
Really?
graduation stage. We found out like 2 weeks before graduation because she was supposed to go to Ole Miss and do her student orientation,
Hmm.
and she just had a gut feeling like we were stupid when we were young. So let's go
Wow.
to CVS really quick. Go take the test. It was positive. I've always heard that I couldn't remember if it was there's no such thing as false positives or false negatives.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, that positive, it's got to be a false positive.
Yeah.
She's like, there's no such thing as false positives. I was like, okay. So we left. We went back to CVS. I bought a bunch more. We went back to the bathroom and I was like, okay, take these. And they were all positive. I was like, yeah,
Yeah. Starting to see a
here we
trend
go.
here.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're all lying, but yeah,
Wow. Dang, that's
yeah.
crazy. What was that pressure like?
Oh my goodness. It wasn't so bad except the fact that we had to, as soon as we found out, tell everybody. Because like I said, she was leaving in 2 weeks to go
Yeah.
to Ole Miss for orientation, so we had to tell her parents like, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to go to Ole Miss." There was no question that we weren't keeping the child like at all. But and then we're like, "Okay, we can relax." And then tell my parents later on because I was going to a community college in Whiteville to play baseball. And yeah, my parents ended up finding out from her parents. Me and my dad had a trip planned to Kentucky. So we went there and I told myself, okay, I'll tell him right after the trip. Like, I ain't gonna ruin this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just me and him going, like, we don't ever do this. Let's just go to Kentucky, enjoy ourselves. As soon as we got back, I told him, he was like, yeah, I know, I knew 2 weeks ago, like
Oh wow.
before we even went. I was like, all right, well, there goes that. And then my mom found out. So it was a lot easier telling my parents than it was her parents. But yeah, talk about pressure.
Yeah. What is that like thought process of I'm about to be a dad?
So I think for a while you forget that you have 9 months before the child's actually
Yeah.
here. So you obviously rush yourself way more than you should in the first couple months, and then you kind of slow down. So I was hunting for jobs left and right. I'd do anything to make a dollar. I bought an apartment thinking moving out was the best idea at 18 when I knew I had a kid on the way. So I moved out. We were going to stay together, but we weren't married yet. So I went and got an apartment, had it set up and everything. And then we realized like, hey, this isn't this isn't right. So she moved back home a week later, or not even a week later. I think she stayed there like one night. But she was at the house every day, and then
Yeah.
we finally had the discussion. But yeah, so she moved back home. My daughter was born. I stayed away from her for the first, I want to say year. Well, no, it wasn't quite a year because we got married in September. But yeah, so
So
that was tough on me, like living away, still being young, immature, like I'm the dad, I make the decisions, blah blah blah. But knowing like our parents always had our best interest
yeah.
at heart. They weren't trying to do anything to tear us apart or make things harder on us, and it was honestly a blessing. Um, I worked third shift at the time, so I'd leave at 7:30 and be home at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'd sleep throughout the whole day. Or no, no, I didn't work third shift then. I
You've
think
had
I
a
was,
lot going on. It's
yeah.
okay.
There's so much There's so many details in the past, but yeah. So, but I immediately got a job. She started working as well, just doing what we thought was the best we could do as teenage parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all you can do.
Yeah.
And then how old were you when you enlisted?
I was 20 years old. I had no intentions to go into the military at all. Never thought about it once growing up. And I just randomly one day walked in the recruiter's office and he sold me. I
Really?
walked in, he asked me a bunch of questions. And you know how it is growing up playing sports. Like you're always competitive.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you're the best. You're the best there is. Blah blah
Hmm.
blah. So he kind of challenged me, and he's like, if I could do more pull-ups than you. Obviously, he set me up because he was a Marine.
Yeah.
No,
That's all he does.
like I knew. No, he was like an actual Marine. He just had the uniform on.
Yeah.
But he was like, if you could do more pull-ups than me, then I'll leave you alone, and we'll never talk about anything ever again. So jump on the bar. Of course, when they do pull-ups, it's all the way up, completely lock out, all the way down. And then in gym class, you can do a pull up, however, and you can rack out like 30 of them.
Yeah. Get that
I was
chin
like,
above the bar.
ain't no way this dude, he's like 40 years old. Ain't no way he's about to hit 30. So I get up there and he makes me start locking them out. And I think I got like 14 pull ups
Dang.
and I was struggling,
Yeah.
son. And I was like, what in the heck? Like, I swear I can do 30. Like,
Yeah.
no problem. This bar is different. Something's going on. Like, I don't know what I ate this morning. And then he was like, all right, my turn. Like, you only got 14. Dude reps out 21. And then on the last one, he was like, slowly went up and he said, you'll be signing these papers. And then goes back down. I was like, we made a bet. Like, give me the papers. Do I need my parents' signature? What do I need? So I go home, fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. I had surgery on my elbow when I was younger. So that extended my actual join time by about 9 to 10 months.
Hmm.
But yeah, I went home that day, signed all the papers, sent it up, and I was in the portal to go into the Marine Corps.
Good grief.
Yeah. I was 19 when I did that because I went to boot camp in April when I was 20 years old. So about 9 to 10 months
Well,
after I went.
what was it that drew you to the recruiting office?
The Marine Corps dress blue uniforms.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
Yep.
just like this is
They're
interesting.
sick.
Want to find out about it?
Yeah. And I went obviously the Marine Corps. My thought process as a teenager was the best branch.
Hmm.
So if I'm gonna join, I'm gonna go to the best branch. I'm gonna
Go all out.
go out, show out. Yeah, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did it and I excelled and I enjoyed every second of it. I think I struggle a lot today because I wouldn't say I necessarily wanted to get out, but life was in a position to where it made sense for us to get out.
Okay.
So I got out in August 1st of this year. Well, actually July 29th of this year. And at the time, we had found a piece of land in Sanford. We were able to build a house in Sanford. We had been missing our family for about a year. Like visitation was starting to slim down the longer we were away from home, which is fine. Like we understand everybody has a life
Yeah.
and we can't expect people to come up 24/7, but it was like, okay, we can be home. We've been doing this on our own now for almost 6 years. We have 4 kids. let's go home to some help. I had a job lined up, she had a job lined up, and everything just kind of worked out for us to get out. But at the same time, it wasn't like I was just ready. I was just ready to leave the Marine Corps. It
Yeah.
was like, all right, I guess life's ready for me to make a change.
Wow.
More or less
That's
than
such
me,
a
like,
big lifestyle
yeah,
change though.
oh, for sure. But yeah, I miss it. I miss it every single day. I think that was one of my biggest struggles getting out. It still is. It's one of those things like you can't really explain it to other people what you do, what you go hood, the type of brotherhood that's there, the type of family you find in the
Hmm.
different places you go, because it's just so different than everyday life in Sanford. But I mean, the people you meet, we had an amazing church community down there, an amazing friend group, so we felt like we were constantly around family, but we were also like the type of people we don't want to cast our problems on you. So like when we needed help, we're not going to really ask for help unless we absolutely needed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we came home, built a house, moved in August, and have been here since.
So was she able to stay on base with you
Yeah.
or like
So we
where
lived
the housing
on
is?
base. The first house we lived off base for about a year, and then we moved on base for 2 years. And then we actually built a house right before COVID when everything was dirt cheap.
Oh wow.
So we got a really good deal on a house. We built a house in Newbern, lived in Newbern for the last two
Yeah.
years before I got out. Yep.
Dang. Are you so I don't know how this works. Once you get out, is that door still unlocked? Can you go back in?
So technically, a lot of people don't know you have a total of 8 years that you serve when you serve four. And
Okay.
the way it works is that you serve four on active duty. So that means you're on base every
Yeah.
single day you're working. And then you serve your last four in what they call inactive reserves. So it's one of those like, if we need you, we'll call you, but we're probably not going to need you and we're probably not going to call you.
Yeah.
But you're still quote unquote in the system as a Marine for your last 4 years. You
Okay.
won't get promoted, you won't get paid. It's nothing like that, but you're still a part of the organization.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that where you're still so you're not still going like
Nope, not
once
once
a
a month.
month
Nope.
thing? Okay.
That's the reserves. I'm in the inactive reserves.
Inactive reserve. Okay. So I know one of the guys I worked with, he is still in the reserve. So
Yeah.
he's still doing like the 1 month
Yeah.
thing.
And then 2 weeks
Yeah.
during the summer.
So then I know he was saying um when the Iraq pullout was happening,
Hmm.
they like they called him or they called his unit and they were like they weren't saying you need to come, but they were like stay close to the phone
Yeah.
because they
Oh,
didn't
for
know what
sure.
was going to pop off, you know.
And a lot of people don't realize that either is like, yeah, we might get called, our unit might get pulled, but it's only going to be a select few of us that
Yeah.
gets pulled. Like, it just depends on what your job is and what they need for that deployment.
Hmm.
But the reserves get pulled 24/7 for deployments.
Really?
Yes. Yep. Because they don't want to take people away from their day-to-day jobs.
Right.
Because when you pull somebody from another unit, okay, they're down a man. That unit's down a man because you needed them to go to Iraq, Saudi Arabia, wherever you needed him to go, you pulled him away. Instead, you could have just pulled a reserve who comes once a week,
Yeah.
a month, or 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and you can just use him for 6 months and pay him while he's deployed as an active duty Marine.
Okay.
So that's why they pull a lot from the reserves. That way it doesn't mess with like the manning docks
That
that they
makes sense.
have in your day-to-day garrison life.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said mental struggles that you've had
Oh yeah.
kind of uh shown themselves when you were enlisted?
Yeah. So I've always been the type like life's a joke. I'ma crack me a joke when I need to crack me a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
And if I see an opportunity,
Oh yeah.
I'ma laugh. Yeah. My sense of humor is 10 times worse than it's ever been. Now that I'm a little older, I'm trying to take life seriously, but I still got that
Ain't no
little bit of
point in that, man.
ADHD immaturity in
Yeah.
me. Yeah. I have flare up from now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, mental health, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. Um, and like I was telling you earlier, 2020 was the first year I really noticed that mental health was a real thing and that I struggle with it.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, we were shut down for COVID. We were going to work. I think we were on a rotation and we would go half a day for Monday, Wednesday, Friday one week. And then we would go half a day for Tuesday, Thursday the next week.
Okay.
So we'd work a total like 12 hours a week, not really doing anything. And I don't know, I think I just lost my sense of purpose during
Okay.
that time. I was at home with the kids every day. Um, we'd go out, there's only so much you can do outside on base, so we'd go to the park every day or go for a walk every day, and then that wouldn't satisfy me anymore. So then we started driving up to New Bern, which is about 25, 30-ish minutes from base where we were living at the time. And their downtown area is really like a historic area,
Yeah.
a bunch of old buildings, and it's super clean, super nice. Like I would trust my kids to go out there and play by themselves. Type
Yeah.
not neighborhood, but environment that was created out there. So we started going there. The first day I went, we would go on like a mile walk. We had three kids at the time. I'd go on a mile walk. We'd go get some ice cream, walk into a toy store, and then leave.
Yeah.
Couple weeks go by, my walks started turning into 6 mile walks, and I'd be out of the house for hours. And I'm just like, I just got to do something. And I started tracking my steps, like made it a competition
Yeah.
for myself just to do something. And I got really down during that time. I just felt like, what's the reason? Like, what is all this for? Why am I here? What am I doing this for? What's my purpose? I really struggled with finding a sense of purpose. Um, a little bit after that, oh, and my wife had COVID for like, I'm pretty sure she had it back to back. So it was like, all right, she's in
Yeah.
isolation for
Can't go
2 weeks.
nowhere.
Yeah. Well, at the time they were saying it was like right when COVID started. So you would have to isolate family members into
Yeah.
rooms and stuff like that. So I was being like, us playing single dad, like getting up. We weren't doing anything during the day.
And at this point, you've got two kids,
Three
three
kids.
kids,
Yep.
and
Three
you're
kids. And then she's pregnant with the fourth.
ah,
Yeah.
with COVID.
With COVID.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Twice.
Okay.
So it was like 2 weeks. All right, can't see my wife for 2 weeks. Like I was wave at her, say, "Hey, do you need something to eat?" And then go back to bed. And then so I slept on the couch. It was just like an
Good
endless
grief.
cycle. It's just like one of those. When is this going to
Yeah.
end? It was it was tough. And then I started going to therapy because it didn't really hit me until one day I was driving to work and I was like, Why? Why am I here? What am I doing? Like, I don't need to be here anymore. Like,
Yeah.
life just life just ain't lifing right now, pretty
Hmm.
much. So I remember we got out of work at 4 o'clock, and it was I don't know if it was raining. No, it was sprinkling that day, so it wasn't really raining. But it was one of those like every 20 minutes your automatic windshield wipers would cut on and wipe the windshield off. And I just sat there and sat there and sat there and like I couldn't move. I was stuck in this like daze of thoughts going through my head, like what if you did this? What if you did that? What if you did this? Like, and I was like, all right, like we need to go. I need to leave. I need to do something. And then on the way home, the way my main thought during my suicidal ideations is what I was having at the time was in the Marine Corps, you're automatically given a life insurance policy.
Okay.
And like right before our first pre-deployment workup, they make you generate your will, get powers of attorney, all that stuff.
Wow.
So I knew like all my bank stuff, everything that was mine personally would go to my wife. And then her job was separated between the kids and
Hmm.
have enough for herself to take care of the family. So when they give you that life insurance policy, it's a automatic $400,000.
Wow.
And I never read into it or anything like that. And I was just like, we weren't struggling financially, but it was one of those things like my family would be way better off with just $400,000 and then they could live the type of life that they want to live
Man.
because I'm just not having fun. So I was on the way home And there's two different bridges. One is like one of those bridges that's 6 inches off the water,
Hmm.
and it's an inlet that goes out to the ocean. And then the other one's a super beautiful, like you're looking over the ocean. Every day you see the sunrise. Every night you go home, you see the sunset. Like the most beautiful picture you could paint. And so I looked at that first bridge, and it's a bridge, a guardrail, and then right beside the guardrail, probably 10 feet off, is a big oak tree. And I was like, okay, how do I make this look like an accident?
Wow.
How do I do this to where, because I found out the year before, one of my buddies, her husband committed suicide, and they wouldn't pay out the life insurance policy because it was self-induced. So it's like, okay, well, I can't commit suicide. I'm going to have to make it look like an accident. So it's like one of those, everything has to line up perfect
Yeah.
for me to do it. And so I was like, all right, if I ever do it, like, this is the spot. We're going to hit it like this. Car's going to go into the water just in case, like, I accidentally survive. There's no chance. And then one day, 2 weeks later, me and my wife are laying in bed, and like she knows nothing about the struggle I'm going through. Like, not a hint, not a clue. I isolate myself worse than anybody I know. And I was like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I've been struggling lately. Like, it's eating me alive. I can't do it. Like, I need to see somebody or something bad's going to happen. And I always told myself if it was a super bad rain, if it was raining super bad on my way home from work, that was going to be the day I did it because I can
Yeah.
blame it on hydroplane.
Yeah.
Um, so I spoke to her. We had a long night, long conversation. She was beyond supportive because she also went through kind of the same issues after we had our first child with postpartum depression,
Yeah.
which I will say is like one of the most underrated and undermined thing in human history.
Really.
Is after a woman gives birth, the amount of mental stress that is put on them is beyond insane. And nobody thinks about it because they think they're just so happy they have a
Yeah.
child now. And no one thinks about the anxiety they constantly have of, oh my God, I'm a new parent. Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? Like, is my child going to love me?
Hmm.
Simple questions like that that shouldn't cross your mind, but it's what eat women alive. Or I can speak for Maggie Ann. Like, it's one of those things that just doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
And I feel like the 10-minute purple cry video they show you before you leave the hospital isn't suitable enough for what women actually go through after post pregnancy,
Wow.
like post giving birth. But yeah, sorry to get off track.
No, you're good.
But
I mean, that's a really important
yeah, I do
thing
want to
to
bring.
bring up.
Yeah, I would love to bring that up, and I'd like to get awareness out there as much as I can. But after that, I went to my first therapy session. I never.
What's the time frame right now?
So we're like a week after me and my wife had the
Okay.
deep conversation,
But the
and I
struggles has been going on for a
probably
few months.
3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4 months. Like, it was just to where I couldn't bear it
Yeah.
anymore. So I scheduled a therapy session a week later. Never rained. The week, like, sunny
Yeah.
skies, clear 70-degree weather at the beach. The whole week after we had that deep conversation, and went to see my therapist, talked to her, and just unloaded on the poor woman.
Really?
I was like, here's my childhood issues that I think about all the time. Here's what I go through in the military. Here's my family life, my personal life. Like,
Wow.
an hour's not long enough.
No, it's not.
You need to start bumping these up.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, we'll get there. We'll get there. Like, I promise I'll take care of you. And so that was great. Went home next week, went back to therapy, unloaded again. She was like, I was just like, all right, let's pick
Yeah.
up where we left off. Cause
Here
I
I go.
remember, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, let me just ask a few questions and kind of lead this where I need it to go. So that way I can better help you. So we had another session of me obviously taking over
Yeah.
and me telling her everything I want to talk about. And I want her to fix me right now. And come Sunday, we go to church. We started going to this new church in New Bern called Latitude. I find out that this lady goes to church there and she's over the kids ministry. which is not an
What?
issue at all. Like, it's just one of those, like, okay, I see you out in public
Yeah.
and we like this church a lot. We're going to start coming here every Sunday. It's just going to be one of those things like, I can't see you anymore. Like, I'm sorry. So, next therapy session, I was like, hey, look, it's nothing against you. It's just my own conscience telling me, like, hey,
Yeah.
I can't do this because you know everything. And
Uh-huh.
it only took 2 sessions.
Especially if she's
Yeah.
over the children's ministry
Yeah.
where
So
your
I have
kids are going in.
15 kids. So you know I'm coming here and I'm going to at least spend 30 minutes here trying to get
Yeah.
them all riled up to get home or wrangled up to get home. But yeah. So I stopped going to therapy for a little while. And it was one of those like I tricked myself into thinking I was fine
Hmm.
type issues. Wasn't bad again until this past August. Like never had any type of suicidal ideations, wasn't really depressed. Feel like I have like somewhat of seasonal depression,
Hmm.
but it's more or less like the season of life I'm in instead of like the seasons outside. But it started getting bad back in late August, early September, like just me contemplating if all the decisions I made were the right decisions to get out
Yeah.
of the military and stuff like that. So I still to this day struggle. I have a therapist now that I speak to. Um, we have an appointment Thursday, and it's a new therapist because I'm really bad. I fired my first therapist I had when I got back. I didn't fire her. I just stopped going to her because it just I feel like you have to have a special bond with who you're sharing all this information with, and it wasn't that I couldn't trust her or anything. It was just one of those I just don't think she was the one for me,
Yeah.
and that's completely okay.
I mean, that's
She,
huge. You're
yeah,
you're saying everything
yeah,
in your life, you
yeah,
know?
and I'm being as vulnerable as I could possibly
Yeah.
be. And besides my wife, like you're going to be the only other person to know this information that I'm
Hmm.
sharing with you. But no, she's really good at her job. She did a great job. I can't thank her enough for taking her time and trying to help me the
Yeah.
best she could. It wasn't for me. Like she wasn't for me, and that's okay. There's nothing against her. But so I started doing, well, I'm going to try out teletherapy. So it's
Yeah.
like over calls, Zoom calls, phone calls, whatever works. And I think that'll work with how busy my schedule is now.
Hmm.
But no, getting out of the military. So it's August, September time frame, and then October was when my wife started randomly having seizures.
Okay.
She's 26 years old, never had a sign of a seizure in her life. She was at the McDonald's in Tramway,
Hmm.
and I had just got off of work. I was in Broadway at the time because I used to switch vehicles because I have a company truck. And I get a phone call from my daughter, and it says, "Hey, Dad." Well, she was crying. She was like, "Hey, Dad, mommy's asleep. We're in the McDonald's drive-through."
Oh my God.
I was like, "What do you mean your mom's asleep?
Yeah.
Like, did she pass out? What's going on?" She was like, "I have no clue, but mommy's asleep. Like, please just get here as fast as you can." So of course, my 8-year-old called me on the phone. I'm in Broadway, middle lane,
Oh yeah.
all the way from Broadway Road to Tramway. I
Yeah.
got there
You're
in like
rolling.
11
Yeah.
minutes. I was smoking, son. I couldn't tell you if the stoplights were purple, black, orange, green. I couldn't tell you. But
For anybody that's not from here,
yeah,
that's not an 11-minute
no,
drive.
it's not an 11 minute. But I get there, I pull up right in front of her in the drive-through, and she's still out, and I'm like, okay, this is super weird, like super random time to pass out
Yeah.
was what I was thinking because it's the only thing that somewhat made sense in my head. And so she came back like 2 minutes after I got there, and I was like, "Hey, you okay? What's going on?" She's like, "I have no clue. Like, I just passed out, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Well, do you feel fine?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm fine now. I'm just like really tired." I was like, "All right, well, let's go home." I had to take the kids, my daughters, to cheer or something. So I take them to cheer. We go to the doctor the next day, and we tell them like, "Hey, this happened. What's going on?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "I don't know. Let's go get her fitted for a heart monitor just to make sure like nothing weird's going on." And I guess at the time that was what made sense to them
Yeah.
because we didn't know it was a seizure at the time.
Hmm.
So we go get a heart monitor the morning after, and after you get it put on, you have to go back over to the hospital. So I guess they can set it up to their system
Mhm.
and be able to track it and all that. Well, my mom works at the hospital. She's um she works in like the accounting section, so her office is from here to that wall from the front lobby. So probably 30 feet. But you have to go through two doors. So my wife was sitting in the lobby. I go to my mom's office just to say hey, grab some candy, of course, because I'm
Yeah.
at my mom's office. And then I go back and she's having another seizure. So I was like, excuse me, ma'am, like my wife's passed out again. I don't know what's going on. And so they call the emergency response team in the hospital, and her dad works there as well. He's a surgeon, and he was in surgery operating at the time. And he said, like, as soon as he heard that, put the knives down, deuced out of the surgery room, got another. I mean, he obviously got another doctor
Yeah.
to come finish the operation that he was working on. So we take her back to the ER, and that was the day like everything went downhill. She, I think we counted it, and it was she had 42 seizures that day.
What?
They had her on all types of medicine that is supposed to put her to sleep, and it was like her body was asleep, but her mind was still reacting. So she was just constantly seizure after seizure after seizure. I'm in here not knowing what's going on. They finally tell me that it's a seizure.
Help me
So
out real
yeah,
quick. What is this like? What is a seizure?
so hers. So it's what a seizure. What a technical seizure is electronic misfire in the brain,
Okay.
and the way your body reacts is your muscles tense up. It's like you're flexing your whole body at the same time, and why when you're flexing so long, like lifting weights when you're exhausted, like your arms start to
Yeah.
shake, your legs, eyelids, like anything like that, and then your eyes roll in the back of your head
Okay.
because your brain's just not understanding how to tell the rest of the body
Yeah.
to function. So they hook her up to an EKG and an EEG, which is all like to measure the brain waves, everything like that. Everything's normal, perfectly normal. We get on a phone call. They bring in this cart, set it right in front of her bed, and it's a TV. And there's another doctor from God knows where on a video camera. They have like the little security camera on this cart, watching her, talking to me, asking me questions. They're sitting in here. There's two nurses the whole time, and the ER doc is coming in like every 5 to 7 minutes, like checking on
Oh
her.
my goodness.
And then they finally say, hey, we're going to transfer. Like, we think she'll be better suited somewhere else,
Mhm.
whether it be Duke, UNC. Do y'all have a preference? We're like, we don't care. So we're making phone calls to everybody we know, like, hey, is there any beds open at Duke?
Yeah.
No. Is there any beds open at UNC? No, not at this time. And like 10 minutes later, we get a call back, like, hey, UNC has a bed open. So I was like, okay, she's had like 25 to 30 seizures up to this point, just in a 8 time frame. So she's exhausted, she's beat.
Good grief.
Her mom's there, her sister's there, my mom and her dad's there, all in the ER. Like, I didn't leave her side. Her dad was like in the room, not looking over what everyone's doing, but just being concerned for his
Yeah.
daughter. He's not like micromanaging the work being done. He's just like trying to ask
Mhm.
questions, get a sense of what's going on.
Being a dad.
Yeah, being a dad,
Yeah.
for real. Yeah, I would have been a lot worse. But so her mom comes back in and she's like, "Hey, they're about to transfer to UNC." So I was like, "Okay, let me go home, pack a bag
Mhm.
for both of us. Like, I'll pack her pajamas, something she could be comfortable in." I was like, "How long do you think we're gonna stay here?" She was like, "I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like, however long, we'll both be there the whole time. So
Mhm.
you can go back home and get whatever clothes you need." Excuse me. But so I go home. And I was like, I'm gonna try to get home and come back before they leave. That way I can ride in the ambulance with her up there just to be with her, and somebody else can take a car up there so we can transport back and forth from Sanford to UNC. I get home as soon as I pull into the driveway to the house. They're like, okay, they're loading her up in the ambulance right now. We're about to leave. Her mom called me and I was like, oh, of course they
Yeah.
are. Like, I've been going
Makes
seven
sense. Yeah.
minutes and I thought this was gonna be like an hour and a half long process. I was like, what happened to all the paperwork? They're like,
Yeah.
I guess they'll do it on the run. But So they both get in the ambulance. They drive up there. I don't know what to do. I'm still struggling like with my mental health while all this stuff's going on. Like I'm just numb to life right now.
Mhm.
So I call one of Maggie Ann's best friends and I was like, "Hey, just to kind of give you an update because she had came earlier and saw her at the hospital." And I was like, "Hey, just an update. We're getting transferred to UNC. If you want, you can meet us up there." She was like, "Well, do you need me to? Like, do you need somebody?" I was like, "I don't know what's going on at all. I've never been to UNC for anything. I don't do hospitals."
Yeah.
I was like, "If you want to come, just come." She's like, "Okay, I'll come up there and meet you." So I get from Sanford to UNC in 37 minutes, smoking it. Yeah, my mom gave me her Honda Accord. We found out what that Honda Accord was about.
37.
Yeah, was rolling, and I had my hazards on, so I won't
Yeah.
stop in for nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you were behind me, I was gonna call the sheriff's department or police department, be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm on the way to UNC. My wife's there. She's getting transferred there." But I get there, we walk upstairs, and she gets admitted to the ICU. Well, at the beginning, I'm pretty sure they said, I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they said only one person was allowed in the room.
Yeah.
And since her mom rode with her, her mom was already back there. So me and Maggie Parker, we just sat in the lobby kind of waiting, like we didn't know if we were there yet. Because I was rolling and I know ambulance probably wasn't going as fast as I was. So it's like I don't even know if she's here. Like, do you know where Maggie Ann is? They're like, yeah, they're about to bring her up to room whatever. And so I was like, okay. So right about that time, her mom came in the door and she was like, hey, so glad you didn't ride on the ambulance ride over here. And I was like, why? She was like, she literally had a seizure from the time we pulled out a CCH all the way to UNC.
No.
They said it was so bad that they had her in restraints. Like they restrained her to the stretcher and she was like literally coming out of them. And I was like, yeah, it's probably a good thing that I
Oh my
drove here.
god.
And so we went back. I go see her. They have her hooked up to every machine possible that you could think of. And this room has, in every corner of this room, is more security cameras, but they're not security cameras. They're actually filming her and how, like, I guess the machines are hooked up to them too. So they record what her body's going through while visually watching what's going on with her body. And so I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. Just
Like
helpless.
2 days ago, we were at a T-ball game
Yeah.
watching our son play baseball, and now we're at UNC. So stayed at UNC for 7 days. Finally get admitted. Didn't get any information. We get sent home. They're like without a treatment plan, without anything. So no one knows what's going on.
So there's still nothing on heart
So
monitors.
nope,
Nothing.
nothing
Nothing.
on heart monitors, nothing irregular in the brain waves. Like
Really?
everything is normal, and her body is just seizing. They can't figure it out. And still to this, they've given her a diagnosis, but it's still like one of those things everybody's studying. It's so rare that it's it's understudied pretty
Oh
much.
my
It's
goodness.
called functional neurological disorder,
Okay.
and I don't know it. There's everything you look up's different on what it is. Like I said, it's just one of those things that it's understudied and no one has information on how to take care of it or live with it or process with it. So like, and I'm saying all this to get to like where my mental health is
Yeah.
or has been lately. But we get home for like the first week. Her mom and sister, like all the family, was over at the house as much as they could be. They've already taken a week off. Her mom's already taken a week off of work. Her dad was coming up there every day he got off work. Like everybody was up at the hospital while she was there. And then we get home, same thing, like a constant rotation of people. So I'm at a point to where like, okay, I know people are coming. Like I do get a break.
Yeah.
Not that I need or want a break, but it's nice to like step outside her.
Yeah.
Feel like I can take a shower without having to constantly like keep eyes on her, watch her,
Hmm.
like make sure she's fine. And like 2, 3 weeks go by and it's just like the same old thing. Like we know what's going on. We can't leave her alone, all this stuff. My work's super generous, just let me stay home, kind of take care of life. And all while this is going on, I still have to remember like, okay, my kid's got to wake up every day.
Yeah.
I got to give them a bath, feed them, take them to school. I got to remember that I pick up the little kids at 2:15, and then I can pick up the smaller kids anytime before 6. So it's like there's just so much going on.
No room to
I don't
breathe.
even like still to this day, I don't even remember like going to sleep in like the whole month
Really.
right after we got home from UNC.
And that was no October, November.
October, like going into November. Yeah. And so life was just, I think it was a big shift in, obviously, it was a big shift in life for us, big shift in perspective on life. Um, and even to this day, like, I think I struggle a lot with, I don't like throwing around the term PTSD, but like dealing with that situation and going home and still having to constantly think about, okay, are we going to be able to go out to eat tonight without anything happening? Or, okay, she looks tired. Usually, when she looks tired, that means she's about to go into a seizure. Or is she just tired from being tired? What's going on? We have Alexa set up in our house for the kids to just say, hey, call daddy or
Oh my
call
goodness.
Toro family
Yeah.
if mommy's having a seizure, if I have to leave y'all home with her alone.
It's just always living in
It's
your
always just living there. She's done a lot better. I will say these last 3 weeks have been the best 3 weeks that we've had with her seizures since October.
but she's still having them.
Yeah, she's still having them. They're a lot more spread out than they were. We were having them like every day, multiple a day, and now we're up to like we had three. We've had three in the last 3 weeks, and they were within like a 3 day period. So really, like a week and a half on each side of a couple days spurt of having
Is she
seizures.
conscious when they happen?
No, not at all. Like she can hear and she can remember what's being said,
Mm-hmm.
but during her seizure, like I said, her eyes roll back in her head
Yeah.
and she's out. Like
And they last for
anywhere between s- now from anywhere from 3 minutes to 6 or 7 minutes.
uh-huh.
But back when she was first having them, it would be like a whole 10 to 20 minute seizure that she
Man.
was having. And it's just constantly sitting there, like making sure she doesn't roll off the side of the bed, hit her head on the
Yeah.
nightstand, or like make sure you tuck pillows around her. That way she can't roll over them. If I
Good
have to go
grief.
in the living room or kitchen to make dinner or get kids ready for school in the morning, stuff like that. But yeah, so life has life has lifed lately.
Man.
And I'll say probably beginning of January was when everything slowed down. Life was kind of back to normal, but it was a new life
Yeah.
that we're having to get used to. And that's when I finally had like a couple seconds to sit down, and I'm pretty sure everything just hit me at once.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said like a million times tonight. But
It's fine.
everything just kind of hit me at once, and I was just trying to figure out, okay, well, I can't constantly watch her and still go to work, make a paycheck
Mm-hmm.
to live in this house that we've budgeted for two incomes because
Yeah.
we were both working when we moved home, and now she won't be able to work. We got a doctor's note saying she can't work until somebody figures something out. At first it was 6 months. Um then it was whenever she feels like she can, and then we go see another doctor, and then it was like 4 months. Everybody has a different opinion because nobody knows. I'm not saying no one knows what's going on, but it's very difficult for someone to like put exact dates on stuff. She can't drive for 6 months, and every time she has a seizure, it resets that clock.
Oh
So the
wow.
one she had last week or the week before, now she's a week into
Yeah.
her 6 month
Man.
probation, I guess you could say. So I'm driving the kids around everywhere. Everywhere we have to go, it's okay. Do I come home at lunch, swap cars so I can go to this side of town to this meeting or be with this homeowner and have enough time to go to school to pick them up? Or I'll ask, yeah. It's insane. Or I'll ask her mom to pick up the kids, but at the same time, I don't. She's been there like 24/7 for us.
Yeah.
So I don't want to constantly keep asking her to do stuff. Same with her sister. Like they help so much, especially with cheer because her daughter cheers as well. So most days when she does have the kids have cheer, she'll pick them up from school, get
Mhm.
them dressed, take them, or whatever needs to be done. But yeah, so everything just hit me at once. And that was the first time I've felt somewhat suicidal again
Really?
since 2020. Yep.
And that was last month.
And that was last month. Yep. They were Maggie Ann's sister and her husband were over at the house and they were cooking dinner. And they let me go take it. They didn't let me, but they were like, go take a shower, let a load off, just
Yeah.
come home and relax for a couple seconds. So I had a safe in my closet and that's where I keep my guns. And it was one of those, I felt like I stared at that safe for eternity.
Mm.
And I just, I kept looking at it and I kept looking at it and I kept looking at it. And I hit the first button. And I think the sound of the beat kind of threw me out of the mental spiral that I was in. And I felt I was at the lowest point I've ever been at. So I hit my knees right there. And I remember I feel like I've never talked to God so much and never heard anything back. I've always been an avid Christian like my whole life. I go to church every Sunday. I was raised in church. I've always had a good communication with God. I feel like I pray enough. I feel like I hear from him. And I was on my knees in the bedroom and I was like, does it end?
Yeah.
Does it end? Does it end? And I just broke down. I'll probably get emotional now thinking about it, but I just broke down. And so I hopped in the shower. I got out of the shower and my pajamas are in our closet, like right beside the safe. So I looked at it, picked up the safe. I took it into my bedroom and set it on my nightstand. And at this time, the shower had been running for an hour and 15 minutes. Like I hopped in it for 10 minutes, took a shower. I had it running for forever. So it was a freezing cold shower. But my brother-in-law came in the room and I just hugged him and I said, "Hey man, can you please take this safe home with you? Like I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm not okay. And I don't need it out of here, but I don't need the temptation here." And I went home, or I was already at home, but I went in the living room. Everybody like saw that I had been crying, all the kids, and they came up to me, like gave me a hug. And it was just one of those nights that the kids could tell something was wrong.
Yeah.
And when kids know something's wrong, they're super attentive.
Mhm.
Everything they try to do is to cheer you up, make you happy. And I was going to share a Bible verse that I read that night. And it was like one of those, I wasn't really in my Bible at the time, but I still get the notifications every day of like verse of the day.
Yeah.
And the verse of the day was from Psalms 56:8. It said, "The God of all comfort keeps watch over your weeping.
Mm.
He gathers up all your tears and puts them in his bottle."
And that was that day.
That was that night. And I don't ever look at the notifications. Like I'll look at them or I'll
Mm.
peek at it, the first tab, see the three dots, and then like clear it from my
Yeah.
home screen because I won't open my phone. But that night I was like, okay, I hear you. I know you're here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not, I don't believe in coincidences. And ever since that night, I've been deep,
Yeah.
deep into the word. I read my Bible every night. Um, I pray. My praying's a little bit different. It's more or less like a conversation, but We
Yeah.
know what terms we're on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way it should be,
Yeah,
that personal relationship.
we know what terms we're on. So yeah. So as far as mental health, I've had my ups,
Yeah.
my downs, and my downs are down.
So was because I don't want to say what it is, but as a listener, when it first hit in 2020, it sounded more like everything would be better if I turned into money,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I wasn't here anymore. Everybody else benefit.
Yep.
Was that the same thought process with this,
No,
or was this just like
I think it was like I can't.
this weight's too
I
much?
can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like I said, turning into a single income household. Come this January, we got a bunch of bills in the mail like, hey, you're late on your rent,
Yeah.
late on your water bill. You need to pay this now or we're shutting this off. So that's where I've picked up a little bit of side work, but we've had help financially, and we can't be any more grateful for the people who have reached out, whether a meal train was set up, Amazon like shopping list was set up that
Yeah.
people could buy non-perishable items and send to our house. And for 2 weeks straight, I was just unboxing stuff every day.
Wow.
The meal train got full in like 25 minutes. So people were asking if they could just donate money. A softball tournament was held and raised a
Wow.
bunch of money. And it just goes to show like there's a community around you.
Oh yeah.
And when it's time to take care of somebody, they're gonna take care of somebody.
That's beautiful.
And it was I can't thank the people enough, especially at the point in my life that I was at, to where there was no hope left.
Hmm.
All these people just coming together and showing grace and being there.
Yeah.
Period. Like a simple message. People just reaching out, checking up on her weeks after it had happened. You know, they're not just messaging you because it's the fresh new thing going on in Sanford.
Yeah.
They're genuinely thinking
Hmm.
about you, wanting to know what's going on, any way that they can help. So we've been highly blessed and highly favored in this season of life that we're going through.
And then like that's always amazing to me. And my mom is definitely my mom, other people too, but that I have a close relationship with. My mom is like the best example of somebody that will sit in a thunderstorm
Yep.
and
Get wet
make
with
you
you.
believe the sun's shining.
Yep.
And it's so like, and you're doing it right now as to where, I mean, I can't imagine. I
Hmm.
can't. I've never experienced anything like this. And it's incredible and inspiring that you're still here.
Yeah.
That Maggie Ann's still here. That you're able to you're still going to God,
Oh, for sure.
you know?
And I knew like that was never like I never once questioned God and what we were going through. I guess more or less what I was questioning was when is it going to be over?
Yeah.
Like when's enough?
Hmm.
Can I please see a light?
Yeah.
Because there is no light. And he's now that I look back at it, and I think that's everything in life. You don't really see what God's doing until he's
Mhm.
done it, and you look back on life. If I would have stayed if I would have stayed in the military, we'd have been in New Bern doing this by ourselves.
Yeah.
Everything with Maggie Ann. No family within a 2.5 hour mile car or 2.5 hour car ride. We we wouldn't have had the people looking after us, being able to come to our house after we left the hospital. Who knows? If I would have re-enlisted, we could have been in California when this happened, or Japan,
Yeah.
because Japan was my
Anywhere.
next option.
Yeah.
Japan was where we were going next.
Wow.
Come home. Why did I work where I worked? Okay, because they were going to be gracious enough to give me the time off as a brand new employee to
Mm.
stay home, take care of my wife, and still pay me.
Wow.
The school that she worked at, same thing. She worked for 2 months. People were donating their own personal PTO so we could still get a paycheck after, because she doesn't have PTO. She's been there for 2 months.
Wow.
I can't. there's a laundry list of the amazing things that people have done for our family, and they're still doing it to this day.
That is crazy.
To this day, we had a lady come last week and drop off steaks at our house and salads and baked potatoes and said, "Hey, y'all don't have to go anywhere for Valentine's Day. I'm just
Wow.
gonna bring y'all a meal and cook it up." So kids went to bed 7:30, 8 o'clock. I was outside on the grill cooking us
Dang.
some steaks and some baked potato. But just little stuff like that that never ceases to amaze you
Yeah.
by how awesome the people are and how God puts people in your life that
Hmm.
you don't know why they're there until you know why they're there.
Absolutely. It's
And
it's
yes.
it's incredible getting to see that. That's something I'm I learned that I had to become grateful for. Um, I had a lot of stuff going on as a kid, and I got to see the same thing. But as a kid, I didn't understand it.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know why all these people were bringing food to our house. I didn't know why all these people were coming to see me and why we get all these cards every day. To me, I got annoyed with it as a kid.
Mhm.
You know, I was like, "We're fine. What do you
Yeah.
mean?"
I don't see a struggle.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't see
why do
my
these people
dad.
feel bad for
Yeah,
us?
I didn't see the what my dad was going through when I didn't see him when he was working God knows how many hours.
Mm.
When my sister was having to spend most of her nights with my cousins, and my mom was spending every night with me in the hospital. And then as I got older, and I still have the box of cards that I got over the years, and it's stacked full. The lid don't even fit. Um, but just the unselfishness, the grace, and how willing and generous people don't become, but are.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that gets to shine through when there is that thing that they have to go and,
Mhm.
oh, this, we got to help out Braxton. We got to help out Maggie, you know? And it's, man, it's so cool,
It's
you know?
amazing. Yeah. You can't make it up. You can't
No,
make stuff like this up
no.
at all. And to see where we are now and where we were, because even though it's your hometown, moving back home after being away for 6 years is still, it's not the same place you left at all. People are gone. People are different. We've lived a entirely different life for the
Hmm.
last 6 years. We're going to try to adjust, and people just open arms everywhere, was welcoming us home, ready for us to be back, ready for us to get settled in. Whatever they could do to help us,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were willing to do at that point in time.
That's
And
awesome.
I can't, I just, thank you. It doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah, it really don't,
It doesn't.
you know?
It does not.
So your relationship with God,
Mhm.
how is that? I know you said you've been raised Christian,
Yep.
going to church, everything. How has that developed and kind of evolved over the last few years?
So I'll say I've been, me and my wife got saved together right after we got married. And I was always like I said, we went to church every week, was always raised in church, but I was a questionable Christian.
Yeah.
Like, is heaven real? Is hell
Mhm.
real? How do I know it's not just black after we die?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know this stuff. And I never really heard from God as a younger kid. And I guess I just wasn't mature enough in my walk to know what hearing from God looks like from my perspective.
Yeah.
Some people hear voices, some people see signs, some people see other people and can tell that something's going on with them through their body language, and or
Yeah.
they feel like they've been given a sign to pay special attention to these people. But in 2008, 19 was when I was working third shift and we were living in New Bern. It was right after we got saved. We were part of a church group, and I've always believed in God, but I wasn't a gun ho Christian, I
Mhm.
guess you could say. It was the first time we were struggling as new homeowners, and we mentioned it at our church group, like not looking for pity or anything, but they would do like prayer
Yeah.
requests, and we were like for financial our financial situation, stuff like that. And I'll never forget, our rent was due on Fridays. Thursday, we got home. We went out somewhere to eat. Got home, checked the mail, and there was a blank envelope. We took it in the house, and there was enough money to pay our rent
Dang.
that week or that month. That was that was the moment when I knew it was a God thing. Like it was either God's people or somebody random feeling called to donate money. And who knows, maybe somebody random used to live there that they were friends with and owed them
Yeah.
money, and it just so happened to
Yeah.
bless us. Like you never know where the blessings are coming from or how they come. You just know they're there when they're there. But ever since then, I feel like I've had a mature relationship with Christ, and it's helped that we were younger when we had our first kid. So all of our friends group was older 30, 20, late 20s, early 30s with their first kid.
Wow.
So we were always the youngins in the friend
Yeah.
group with youngins. And so I feel like I've always had a good relationship with Christ. I've never had to question it for anything. And I'm always one of those, whatever happens, happens for a reason. So I don't really question it, except when my wife started having seizures.
Yeah.
And I wasn't questioning why it was I was questioning why it was happening, but I was more or less questioning when it's going to be over. So I've always had a good relationship, and I don't think I've ever struggled with being able to pray after going through some of the most difficult points in my life. So I've always had a good relationship with Christ.
That's great. I know a lot of people, like when you see people trying to debunk a person's belief in Christ,
Mhm.
it's always a big one is always, why would he let all of this happen? Why would he let these terrible
Yeah.
things happen? And there's a bunch of different answers. Free will, um, it's the biggest one. But it's also what you said is you're not going to see the blessings until you've gotten, well, you're not going to see the blessings that were in whatever situation you were in until you get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's that's why it's really important to remember, which is it's why I started this,
Hmm.
to remember to finish the race,
Yeah.
to remember to keep going through, because there is a reason for everything that happens,
Yep.
whether it impacts you or it impacts somebody else that knows you.
Hmm.
Um, the story behind this was, um, when I got diagnosed with cancer. Um, I actually found out last year when my parents got told. My dad passed out in front of the doctors. You know,
Hmm.
just that, like you said,
Shock.
that weight.
Yeah.
It's, what? Because you hear cancer and that's a death note, right?
Hmm.
It's over.
Yeah.
And but I didn't see that.
Hmm.
I was in the waiting room. I'd done my part. I had
Yeah.
a test on me.
Yeah.
I was just
Did
waiting.
everything I needed
You
to
know,
do.
I was looking at Sports Illustrated. Right? You know, what's happening in baseball.
Yeah.
And my dad comes out, didn't think anything was wrong. He's smiling. And he sits down beside me, takes a notebook out. And my dad's always been big into racing
Hmm.
because his dad was. So he drew a racetrack. And I'm a 7, 8 year old kid. So this is the best way he has to explain it.
Hmm.
Draws a racetrack, start, finish, writes it out. And he just looks at me, takes the pen, he says, "You're about to run a race." And he goes all the way around it. And right before he gets to the finish line, he says, "All I need you to do is finish it." And he crosses it. He says, "This is going to be pit stop, flat tires. You're going to run out of gas. Just finish the race." And that's something that stuck with me, obviously, for 17 years now.
Yeah. What an illustration.
Yeah. And it's just, but it can be applied to everything.
Yeah. I was just thinking of the many situations in
Yeah.
life that it can be applied to.
But it's so like, and it's visually cemented in my head now.
Hmm.
And I've struggled with suicidal thoughts as well. Um, and in those moments when it's high intensity and all you're thinking about is, I just have to garner the strength
Yep.
to get into that safe. I
Yep.
just have to garner the strength to finally go through with it. Each time that I've I've gotten right to that point, and
Mhm.
I think I've cracked the code. And like, all right, I can
Yep,
finally go through
today's
with
the
it.
day. Yeah.
Some click,
Yep,
that button goes off. That snaps you out of it.
yep.
The one that's vivid for me is I was pacing upstairs. I was still living at home then. I was pacing upstairs for 2 hours straight, just walking back and forth, trying to find that strength. Where's it at?
Mhm.
And it was about 2 a.m., 2:20, and I knew where my dad kept his pistol at. And I was like, they're fast asleep. I can get in, sneak out. It'll be
Do
done,
it.
you know? I walk downstairs. I'm getting that strength up. The second, the second I cross through the threshold of my parents' bedroom, it hits me like a ton of bricks.
Just seeing them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I break down, dude. And I just, you know, like my sister would when there was a bad thunderstorm when she was 2, 3 years old. Mama, mama, just waiting for her to wake up.
Yeah.
And they did, and they counseled me and helped me out, and I told them what was going on. And then it's once I was able to clear my head, the image came back to me.
Mhm.
You gotta finish the race, man. This ain't it. It ain't over here. Um, but it's tough because I know you know that it ain't over yet, man.
Oh, no. The mind is such a powerful thing
Oh yeah.
that if you, for a second, is all it takes.
Hmm.
1 second in a weak moment is all it takes. That's all it takes. And at this point in my life, and I'm sure it's the same way with you, it's surrounding yourself with people who have your best interest at heart,
Hmm.
not someone who's going to stress you out and create more issues, especially just being alive in 2024 is difficult enough.
Oh man.
I don't need the added stress
Yeah.
of life
Yeah.
with your problems on top of mine.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's just where we're at as as a society. It is beyond impossible to simplify things to make life easier.
Yeah.
Everything has to be so complex, so
Hmm.
complicated, so thought out that it's difficult.
It is.
Especially, I feel like in our age group to where 20s are hard enough.
Yeah.
I just got out of high school, just got out of college, starting my first real couple jobs here, trying to figure out what I want to do for the rest of my life, while also buying a house at 800,000% interest rate. That I bought a $200,000 house, but I'm paying $14,000 a month for it.
Gosh.
No, not really.
Okay. I was gonna say, dude.
No, but it's just
That's what it feels
yeah,
like.
life's
Yeah.
hard enough. Everybody's trying to figure out their own stuff, so
Yeah.
just be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind to people.
So much easier to be
And
kind.
I feel like that's gotten me through a lot in life, and that's why the people are the way they are to us is because, and I'll say it, my wife is one of the nicest, most kind people I've ever met in my life, and she is genuine about anything
Mhm.
and everything. And I'm also one of those people, if I see you, I'm gonna find a way to make you smile, make you laugh, make you forget about everything that you have going on in life, and I'm just gonna be a good person to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like being a good person, not in a Christian aspect, but in just like a regular human being aspect, just being a good person to people, it'll save you so much trouble and it'll save someone else. It could possibly save someone else.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, man, the mind is insanely powerful, and all it takes is one compliment
Hmm.
that someone hasn't heard in years,
Hmm.
and that's all that's going to be racing through their mind
Yeah.
instead of whatever life stressors they have going on at that moment.
It's amazing, like those little moments
Yeah,
that you never see coming.
they all add up.
Yeah. And
All
it's
add up.
it is I don't know, it's funny. I was struggling with something where um I wanted to convince myself nobody my age has had it as bad as me.
Mm.
And I I used it as a crutch when I thought I was using it as like my superpower or whatever.
Hmm.
And I went to this site, I think it was a Halloween party with my roommates at the time. And this girl that I barely knew, it was her house that we were at. And she got like really emotional during the night. And I hadn't said really anything,
Hmm.
but it was something that it had been in my mind. Again, the part about me, like, no, nobody had it as hard as me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, there's 10, 11, 12 other people there, all sitting around the same table. And she's sitting directly across from me. We're playing a game. And she just goes on this tangent from being 3 years old to where she was
Hmm.
in that
Her
in that
whole
day.
life
Yeah.
story.
Just out of nowhere. And the entire time she's just locking eyes with me. And I knew I shouldn't look away. I didn't know why, but I was
Yeah.
like, you're not supposed to look away right now.
Yeah.
And she gets done, she gets about halfway through, and this thought pops into my head. And it's like, this is you. You need to listen.
Mhm.
This is what you need to hear. I don't know why. And I'm like, okay, I'll just listen. And she spills everything out, heart's on her sleeve, finishes, and just walks out of the room. She comes back 10 minutes later, just probably just conducting herself again.
Yeah.
And I sat there and was contemplating, and I was like, I, well, one is like, I'm not the center of the universe.
Hmm.
This isn't about me. And she was of the mindset of, why would God do all this to me? And dude, her story's incredibly brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just her upbringing and stuff, can't imagine. And I found out a few weeks later, and I actually told her about Jesus, about God, about my relationship with him,
Hmm.
and how it didn't fix everything. It was still struggle,
Yeah.
but there was peace.
Hmm.
And she kind of laughed in my face about it. And why would God do this? Why would he do this? It's so silly to believe. I found out 3 or 4 months ago she got saved. She got baptized.
Nice. Heck yeah. That
And
not
it,
the best feeling ever.
oh my goodness.
Even if even if you don't know the person,
Yeah.
like just mentioning it to her and
Hmm.
coming to find out a
Yeah.
few months later that maybe something you mentioned clicked with her to where she took the next step to look into churches on Google and
Hmm.
found one that interests her, and then she goes and she meets somebody that maybe reminds her of you and the conversation y'all had,
Yeah.
or how empathetic you were with her, and connects with that person, then step and sets the
Hmm.
snowball effect.
It's so crazy, man.
It's insane. We when we were in New Bern, it was more or less like a military style church.
Hmm.
You'd have a group of people here for a couple years and they get orders, leave,
Yeah.
new wave of people, but it's constantly happening every month. And I think that was one of my favorite parts about that church is seeing new people walk into the door and watching their entire growth with Christ from
Wow.
being unsaved to getting baptized to taking next steps to getting involved with church to being on the prayer team to being at
Hmm.
every event the church is handling, and then just seeing, and it's all in like a year 2 year span that everything just happens.
Yeah.
You can watch somebody who comes in broken, beaten, hurt by the world, hurt by people, and watch their life with Christ and not even recognize who they are anymore just
Yeah.
because of the glow they have on. And we one of the biggest sayings there is people don't understand that they have a God-shaped hole in their heart that only he can fill.
Mm. Boy,
And
that's
he
big.
can't fill it until you meet him and know him personally.
That's big.
That is like the truest statement you can think of.
Uh-huh.
Because we're all created from him, by him, for him.
Yep.
So if you don't know him personally, obviously you're not going to feel like you have a purpose, or whatever struggles you're going through are going to be 100 times more difficult because you don't have somebody that is looking after you and literally writing the script for your
Yeah.
life.
Already written.
Yeah, already
Yeah.
written.
That's a big one where it's so evident today. and you're able to see how evident it is by the searching
Hmm.
that is done by so many people trying to find God through vices, find God through hobbies and risky acts and
Yep.
whatever it might be,
Yep.
and they come back empty-handed every time.
Every time.
Well, it must be something else.
Nope.
Try something else. Man, and it's crazy to try and explain to somebody that feeling that you get
Hmm.
because I don't
There's
think you
nothing like
can.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nope. S- That's what I tell a lot of people. Like, what's the most free you've ever felt without, a lot of people say skydive.
yeah,
For me, it's riding my motorcycle.
hmm
The sound of the motorcycle muffles out everything else going on in the world. You can't hear your own thoughts. The thing's so daggone loud.
hmm
You're riding through the wind just hitting your face, and then everything around you is just, you're open, you're feeling the wind, you're seeing everything. There's nothing obstructing your view. It's just like riding through there. And I'm like, if this is a fraction of what it feels like to meet God and
mm,
understand His grace and what heaven feels like, honestly, then we're we're in for it
yeah,
because it's going to be something I can't describe it. I can't describe what meeting God and that feeling is, but it's almost like knowing Him is your breath of fresh air,
yeah. Well,
if you know what I mean.
he's the breath of life.
Yeah,
That's why it feels like that.
yeah. And that's any situation that you're going through and you do have a relationship with Christ, when you're going through that, the only way to feel any slight bit of relief or breath of fresh air is to either speak with him, have a conversation. It's not going to fix things on the spot,
Mm,
never is, but you just knowing you had that conversation and you spoke with him and you know he's on the other side of the phone
yeah,
listening and hearing everything that you have to say is just, it's comforting.
it is. There's I know the a big verse now that would be relevant. Of course, it's always been relevant, but casting all your
Anxieties on him for
yeah,
he cares for you.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
And it's just and it's so hard to do.
it is.
Um, realizing that a lot of things that we carry and hold on so tightly to,
Mm.
you don't have to.
Just being human.
Yeah,
Yeah, being human.
yeah. But it's also there's that other verse of take up your cross and carry it.
Yeah,
You know, so there are some things you gotta carry,
yeah,
and
that is true.
it's not meant to be easy. I don't know if you watched the full episode with Wayne, um, but and that's another guy. He's seen some
That's
stuff.
a dude.
Oh man, I
If you
love that
know
guy.
him, you know him.
Yeah,
I
but
love him.
he when he said life will always be a struggle, but that's what it's meant to be.
Yep.
You know, and then he brought up something my dad used to say a lot from the pulpit was, uh, you're either about to go into a trial, in the middle of a trial, or
Or
just
just
getting out of a
finishing up.
trial. This it's the
That's the
flow,
way life is, man.
you know.
Couldn't be any more true.
Yeah, and so that's what came to mind when you said, "When is this going to end?"
Yeah.
And I was thinking, buddy, it's
You're on the verge.
it ain't going to, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the ugly and the beautiful thing about it
Yeah.
is it's all God's timing.
Yeah. And I wouldn't necessarily say that we're at the end now, but I feel like we're on the downhill slope.
Yeah,
We're no longer at the climax
yeah,
of
absolutely.
everything life can throw at us at once.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's been a step back for all of us to figure out that stuff that was important to us at one point in life is no longer important to us. It's simplified.
Yeah.
Spend time with your family,
Hmm.
go to work, make an honest living, live life to the fullest, do the simple things. When you go out to eat, don't let the kids watch TV. Engage
Yeah.
in because we have a TV in our car and it's so easy to cut it on and just enjoy the silence.
Hmm.
Have a conversation with them,
Yeah.
asking about their day. Like the biggest thing is like sitting around a dinner table and engaging in conversation.
Oh yeah,
And that is where that is where life happens, I feel like.
it is.
In the smallest details, picking up the kids from school, seeing them on the playground, and then walking them to the car and asking them about their day.
Hmm.
The little stuff like that that's so easy to overlook is where I fill my cup back up. That way I can pour into other people.
Man, yeah.
Because it is so easy to drain yourself these days if you don't take advantage of the little things in life that are just so beautiful. Giving my kids a bath, putting them to bed, closing that door. Something about when that little lock hits the metal strike plate and goes in and it's locked, it's like your kids are home, your kids are fed, your kids are under a roof, they're safe, life is good.
Man,
What else do you need to stress about?
yeah.
And then I'll walk downstairs, get in the bed with my wife.
Another day.
It's as simple as
Made it
that.
complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is unnecessary.
That's awesome. Was that something was that something you struggled with uh the first time when you were feeling the suicidal thoughts? Because I mean you were saying
The
you were
simple
going,
things?
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
just not realizing the weight of them, or
I think it was just I feel like we weren't doing any maintenance at work. I'm very good with equipment, like with my job. I excelled at it. And I just felt like we're not using them, so they're not breaking down. Everything's working. There's no reason for us to come in. When I'm home, it's let's get to bedtime so I can have alone time and just be by myself.
yeah.
Because like I said earlier, I love to isolate myself. It's the biggest pro and con that I have against myself. It's good when it's good, but it's bad when it's bad.
Yeah.
But I love isolation. I love being able to have those deep conversations with myself
Oh yeah.
because I feel like if you just go through life on cruise control, one day when it does hit, it's gonna T-bone you at 90 mile an hour.
Hmm.
It's gonna hurt. And I feel like constantly having a healthy relationship with yourself to be able to have deep conversations about what's truly going on. It's so easy to mask all your feelings and go through the day, paint a smile on your face, act like everything's okay, and then go to bed, do the same thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But just I think just struggling with finding a purpose at that point in time. I couldn't enjoy anything outside of feeling like I was accomplishing something every day.
Yeah.
That was the biggest issue for me because there was nothing to accomplish.
Hmm.
Everything worked, everything ran. I only worked 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Go home, put the kids to bed, do the same thing the next day. So I think it was the constant replay
Hmm.
every day of the same life for months is what got to me the most.
Yeah. I know that was a big struggle for a lot of people.
As a worldwide
That
struggle.
shutdown, man. Like, I mean, you could see suicide rates going up
Oh yeah.
and depression
Yep.
just through the roof, anxiety and drug use and alcoholism, everything, divorce rates, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just like everything that was bad just got amplified
Yep.
to worse. And it's a rough time.
Yeah.
It really was.
The year the world shut down.
Hmm. But now it's kind of led you to start your own business.
Yeah. So that's another one of those God things that is happening on our downward slope of
Yeah.
everything that's going through life. And I wasn't even the honestly, I wasn't even looking to start my own business. I was actually just doing side work by myself, trying to reach out to people. And I was speaking with my wife, and I was like, "Hey, let's just come up with a random name in case we want to go somewhere with this, but I just want everything work related off my personal page
Hmm.
because I won't be able to keep up. I don't want everything to get I don't want no one's message to get overlooked if
Yeah.
someone's reaching out for stuff that I need to do because I'd like to make the money, and it's what I love doing. Working with my hands, building something, changing something, making old things new, stuff like that. So I created a Facebook page. Well, I had her create a Facebook page first, and I guess she forgot how to work Facebook. And it looked like somebody had their phone in their pocket and it was randomly just typing stuff. And I was like, no, let me go on free logo maker
Yeah,
over
there you go.
here, make a logo. I downloaded a random like cell phone app. I made a new Gmail and I was like, if we're going to do it, let's have a number they can call, leave a message, have an email they can send to. So I did all that, made the logo, made it my Facebook profile page, and then I did kind of a slight introduction to myself as a person so
Mhm.
people knew, hey, this was mine. Here's my story, or here's the cherry to the whole cake of
Yeah.
my story. And I threw in just got out of the military, what I did, what my interests were, what my wife's going through. I'm just looking for side work to make extra money to make ends meet. And I was telling you earlier, within 24, I'd have a screenshot it so I can give you exact numbers if I can find it. I don't know if I'll be able to find it because
And it's called
local solution NC.
Local Solution
Facebook.
PC,
Yep. If you got a problem, I'm the solution.
whatever it is,
Yep.
except for Windows.
Except for
Yeah.
Windows. I'm not saying I won't do them, but there's probably a high chance that I'm not going to be the one to do your Windows. But this was within 18 hours of me creating the Facebook page, and I have one at 24 hours, but I can't find it. The post reached 68.1 thousand people, 22.7 thousand people engaged with the post. So that means they either liked,
Yeah.
commented, or shared. I gained 561 followers
Damn.
in 18 hours from creating that Facebook page. And the post itself had 1.1K shares.
Oh my goodness.
And
And the
that
phone
was,
blow up?
oh, dude, it was insane. And it wasn't even work. It
Really?
was people texting me like, hey, have you looked on Facebook lately? And that was the only message I got from at least 50 people for the first 24 hours. It's like,
Wow.
hey, I'm so tired of seeing you on my Facebook. Hey, I think everyone knows that you're part of local solution. But yeah, and ever since then, within the first week, I went out, I did a couple jobs, and I'm not trying to be a content creator, but I do want people to see that it's for most of the jobs, it's me going out there, me doing them. Little stuff, I have some friends who want to help and some guys that work with me during my regular job because all this stuff through Local Solution is part time or
Yeah.
after work, weekend type work. So I can't really put my full focus into it. But I have guys like my framers who will go out, they'll clean gutters and clean up a yard just to get people's yards done. But within the first week, I had 2.5 months worth of work saved in the books.
Good grief.
And I'm still continuing to do that. I haven't even looked all the new messages. I just say, hey, I'm sorry. I know it sounds ridiculous, but is there any way I can send you a message at the 1st of March,
Wow.
second week in March? And it was just insane. And we actually had a counseling session with our campus pastor. And I was telling him I was telling him the same thing I shared here about how I've never talked to God so much and felt like I haven't heard anything back. And he said, well, you might not hear it in his voice, but do you think your post randomly going viral is God showing you, hey, I hear you, I'm listening to
Yeah.
you. Here you go. Here's the people. Like, use these people, use this blessing that I'm giving you to also share the word of God.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's why you're the campus pastor.
Yeah.
You're a lot
Yep.
smarter than I am. So yeah, man, it's truly a blessing, and I'm also one of those people like I am here. I'm super transparent.
Yeah.
The video I posted on my Facebook today was me ordering the wrong toilet, going to change
Oh,
out
you
a
did
toilet.
post it?
Yeah, I posted it today, and I have me voicing it over. Like, uh, every 99% of houses have a 12-inch rough-in toilet. not this house.
Yeah.
And I didn't go measure it before, so technically it's on me. But who puts a 10-inch rough in toilet in there? So,
Yeah.
come on. So, needless to say, I put a old toilet on all new gaskets and seals, and
Nice.
we'll be replacing his toilet in 2 weeks when it comes into Lowe's.
There you go. Dude, that's great. I love to hear that.
I know.
I really
I'm so excited. I'm ready to see where it goes. I hope maybe it's something that continues to grow, and he's setting me up to be successful by myself. I've had I work for my father now. He's been a great mentor when it comes to anything and everything related construction in life and business relate how to run a business, how
Yeah.
to keep a business going, where you need to put your focuses. So I think I'm definitely surrounded by the people to make it work, and he's supportive of it. He's whatever I need, whatever he can do to help me, he'll do it. So maybe local solution might be a full-time gig and we get some employees and
That'd be amazing,
start
dude.
doing some work. Yeah,
That'd be awesome. I mean, 2.5 months of work
I know.
from day
From
one, day
the
two.
first week, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Not many people can say that.
No, at all. And that's what a lot of people came up to me and said. He's like, I see businesses all the time that people are starting up, and not to bash on them or anything, but just people on Facebook either want to share it or they don't.
Hmm.
So some guy might get 30 shares, which is awesome, and then some guy might get 6, and it's nothing against them. It's just the way the cookie crumbles,
Hmm.
and I'm very, very blessed with the
That,
way everything worked out.
that's so good. That's great to hear, man.
Yes, sir.
This has been awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
coming
glad I
in.
got to come see the setup,
I know.
speak to you. I haven't seen you in years.
I know,
I'm
dude.
glad
The
we got
last
to
time I
catch
saw
up.
you, you were standing on a mound in front of me throwing 75. I was horrified.
Me too, because I didn't know where it was going.
I know. I was ready to
The
duck.
glory days. Yeah, I was going to tell you to duck.
Dude, I remember something your dad told me. This was still, this is still like, it's one of them things that just stuck to me. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
engraved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was like the first 20 minutes of practice, and I walk off the field, and I don't know if you remember, but I had bad anger problems back then, real
You and
bad.
Tyler.
Yeah, yeah.
Tip tap.
Yeah. But I came off the field and I threw one of my fits. I mean, your dad came up to me. He just stood beside me for a minute, and I was waiting for my turn to go bat or whatever. And he turned to me. He was like, "You look like you need to get your ass beat today." And I was like, at the time, I was like, okay. And now, dude, I can't tell you how many times I say that to myself. Like so often, I'll be like, whatever it is, if I'm down or I'm like, oh, things aren't going the right way. I'm like, dude, you need your ass beat today. So I thank him for that.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's definitely,
I had to share that though.
yeah, that's funny.
Absolutely. Braxton, I can't thank you enough, man.
Dude, it's been an honor.
This is amazing.
I love it. And I hope you continue to grow this page and
Thank you.
hope it gets out there. One viral video is all it takes.
I know. Dude,
One
that one's
viral
going
post is all
crazy.
it
Yeah.
takes.
That one was Wayne, but
I know. Which I
hopefully
mean, I'm glad it happened. If it happened to anybody, it's definitely going to happen to something Wayne said.
so he called me today and somebody he didn't know
Mm.
came up to him and recognized him. Did you do a podcast? And he was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah. But that was cool to hear. But I hope this conversation falls on the right ears.
Me too.
I really do because man, this helped me. And I hope it helps other people too.
If you don't mind, if you're going through anything in life and feel like the bottom of the barrel is where you're at, please reach out to me. I've seen a lot of things. I've been through a lot of things. I've lived a lot of life. So I I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but I can tell you I'll be open here
Yeah.
to listen to what you have to say.
That's great.
That's for anybody listening, you, him, whoever needs to reach out, just reach out. My sleep hours are from 2:30 to about 4:30, so
Yeah, we just found out you
yeah,
don't sleep.
I'm nocturnal, so just reach out, please.
That's great.
Please, in all seriousness.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for watching. Finish the Race podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, comment, do what you got to do to make this happen and continue to happen. Thank you for watching.